Hello and welcome to Gotta Tell You, Irish Pop in a Pandemic as part of the MusicTown Festival. Irish pop has a wide and varied history with the likes of Boyzone and Westlife, the solo career of Ronan Keating, Samantha Mumba, the exported Roisin Murphy, and of course the Nolan sisters. But even though we have massive international success with these acts, Irish pop doesn't always get the glory that it deserves. Today we have some of the best and brightest acts in Irish pop who are going to explain why they don't think Irish pop gets the attention that it deserves. On our bill, we have PureGrand, who is as if Mark Almond and Mel C had a love child. We have the amazing Jack Rua, who has taken all of the ego and skills from Lady Gaga and made it its own. And we also have the amazing Gold-Blooded Woman, who's responsible for bringing some of the best club nights to Dublin, and now she's providing the tunes to go with them. But first, we have CMAT, who has all the heart and soul of Patsy Cline, but the pop sheen of Dua Lipa.
Go far without hitting the sea. I won't last long without a shot that I need. Red Bull from to get me through the day. And I feel bad 'cause I didn't cry when someone I grew up with died. But I break down every time I'm on scales. Always the cowboy, never the cow. I hate the way my life turned out. There ain't no ranch to roam inside my room. And I've got cotton wool for runs. I won't be much use. up to be. I wanna stop relying on men who are bigger than me. Oh, I wanna be a cowboy, baby. I wanna be a cowboy, baby. Spin round on the playground. Oh, I wanna be a cowboy, baby. I wanna be a cowboy, baby, alone. I don't need you to walk me home. There you go. Thank you.
So CMAT, I heard a rumor that you're going to be a singles girl. No album. State your case.
I think I am a product of the modern pop market as much as it's like I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not doing it because I think that this is the way the industry should be. I just personally really like it when artists, pop artists, put lots and lots of time and effort and energy into one song, and when they build a world around each song. So there's like a visual component, and there's like a music video, and you know there's lots of content around like this one song, and it's all about this one song. I just prefer to digest music that way. I just think it's nice. I think it's good to, you're putting a lot of time and effort into the writing of a song, so you should put as much time and effort into the promotion and release of a song. I personally think. I think lots of people do it lots of different ways, you know. You could be Taylor Swift just dropping an album, but you know.
Who has the time?
Who has the time and money? Taylor Swift. She does, like, you know. Yeah.
So lockdown has been good to you. You launched your solo career fully in lockdown.
Right, smack bang in the middle of it, yeah.
So you're inviting a huge audience into your bedroom as you're doing live gigs, and you self-directed your video for Rodney.
Yeah.
Featuring your Nana.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us a little bit about the interaction with your fans? Because you'd be a very online person, and how much your fans actually contribute to your songwriting and your video making, and basically the very essence of CMAT.
I don't think I take into account other people when I'm making content, but I do take into account people's reactions to it, if you know what I mean. Like I wasn't thinking about how other people were gonna perceive the Rodney video when I was making it. I just had to make it because I had to make a music video for my single that I'd put so much time and effort into writing and producing and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I think it's nice to know that other people like my taste levels, and it's not just me. And I don't just have bad taste. Like, it's nice that other people are like, yeah, I get this, I like this. It's very heartening, and it's made me more confident to just go forward and just keep doing things that I want to do, if that makes sense. But then, you know, there is things that I need from other people, like engagement and like, you know, commenting and, you know, being nice to me.
Other marketing phrases.
Yeah. And but then also, like, I found a lot of people have a really personal response to the music, which I really, really enjoy. Like, there's been a lot of weird messages coming to me on Instagram or whatever, where someone's like, I really loved your song, KFC, or I really liked your song, Rodney. It reminded me so much of this thing that I'm currently going through. And then they'll just launch into a full essay about, so there's this guy, and you know what, like, I don't even think about him that much anymore, but it's just like, he's just always there, and now lockdown has happened, and I just, like, they'll just go into full details about what they're going through, like, in the space of, like, an Instagram DM, and I find that very inspiring, and I love it. I actually love it. I love people who are really messy. I love oversharers. Like, they're my people.
Well, if you don't overshare, then we got nothing to give.
Exactly. I love them. I love people like that.
So not just being a big pop star this year, you're also a sellout headline act. So you have gigs coming up in Whelan's in Dublin, and you gigs coming up in Keno in the Cork.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like to be a headline pop act?
It feels cool. Like, it's funny because I, like I said, launched everything after the start of lockdown. So prior to me releasing a first single, my audience was obviously much smaller because the only people who knew about me were people who either saw me in real life or remembered me from my YouTube videos of like demos of YouTube songs that I was putting out the year before. So the audience was quite small, and like I would be delighted if I got to do a support slot for someone and 10 people turned up to my gigs. Like I'd be like, that's class. Like there's 10 people in the room. Let's go. Like I can totally, I'm not ungrateful for those kind of gigs. I think they were great. But now it's just immediately gone from like the gig that the last gig that I did before lockdown, there was like 40 people in the room that weren't there to see me. They were there to see the person that was on after me. And now it's going straight into like, I'm going to be doing a show for, 100 people. Maybe not in a room at the one time, but, 100 people there for me. That's wild. Like, that's mad.
So how are you going to wow us? Like, what's a pop gig in Whelan's going to be like?
Well, I don't want to tell you everything at the moment, There's going to be some set design. Some just gentle set design. I'm going to do it all myself in the sense that I'm not going to have a band, because I definitely want these live gigs to reflect and kind of be a commemorative piece for how I started my career, as in my bedroom and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of references to that, but I'm going to do it all myself. It'll be all live, all dancing, all singing, and some set design. But I don't want to go into too much detail just yet. I want to keep it to myself.
Nice and vague. Some set design.
Some set design.
So traditionally in Ireland, a lot of the smaller venues, they're not really kind of catered towards like a pop gig.
No.
So if you are a pop artist, it's kind of Nowhere or the Three Arena.
Yeah.
So has that been a very frustrating thing for you as a pop star, but also as a pop fan?
It's funny because I think Ireland has a weird relationship with pop music. Ireland has kind of a negative perception of pop music, I think, more so than in other countries. And it is annoying because you're right, it's either the Three Arena or bust for most pop acts that come over, which is frustrating for me because I used to live in Manchester for 2 years. And when I was there, I saw lots of pop stars in small venues, like 100 capacity venues, 150 capacity venues. And they were some of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. It's so doable and it's so exciting and it's totally what I want to do. I love like intimate pop. Like I think that's where it's at. I think the whole point of pop is that it's pure entertainment and it's pure energy. And I just love I love the broad reach and the freedom that comes within the really strict confines of a pop structure. Like I think you can reach further. So I'm really excited about the fact that I will get to do that. And I think I have a receptive audience. So yeah, there's one gig in particular that's jumping into me. Do you know Tova Sturka?
Yeah. She
did a gig in the Night and Day Cafe in Manchester, which is about 150 capacity. It's the best gig I've ever been to in my life.
Why?
It's honestly the best gig I've ever been. Just energy. She was there. She was treating it like a stadium, but there's only 150 people in the room, so she got to fully connect with every single person in the room. The set design was amazing. She was just pure performance, like pure entertainment. There was like, but she also meant everything, and the songs were amazing, and everything had such good dynamic to it, and it was just fantastic. And I was like, why can't we do that? Like, why is that not more common? Because it's the best gig I've ever been to. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
As a famous lady once said, there can be 150 people in a room, but you better still work it.
You better still work them out. Yeah.
So pop music is kind of synonymous with glamour.
Yes.
But if you're an independent artist with a smaller budget, if you have a budget at all, how the hell do you work the glamour in?
You just do it. You just get it done. It doesn't cost that much money to be glamorous. You just have to be smart. And you have to have a lot of references and a lot of fashion references, a lot of makeup references. There's a way of doing glamour on a very tight budget. Like I could walk you through what I'm wearing right now, for example.
Give us the 3-point guide.
Okay. These boots were from eBay, from a costume shop, and they cost like €24, and then maybe €10 shipping and stuff. But I wanted a 60s go-go boot, and I like the lace on the front because it makes it feel very, very Stevie Nicks. This skirt is a Marni skirt that original price is like €995, and I got it for 40 because I have all my links.
You're connected.
Yeah, but it's also eBay. And then this I robbed off my cousin Leisha, and she's never getting it back.
Perfect.
Never.
So that's it.
It's about knowing what looks good and being creative. It's just another element of creativity, I think, being glamorous. But I love glamour. Like, I love seeing people who are so done up to the nines. And I love it when it's very much their own glamour. And it's like they're striving for glamour, but maybe it's not that well done, but it's done to their own taste levels. Like, that's beautiful. I love it. I just love it. I don't like people with money. I don't think they can dress well.
No,
I think you have to
someone
have
else shopping for them normally. So
yeah, exactly. It's crap. You want someone with no money who's like doing their best to look like they've loads of money. That's true gorgeousness.
When it comes to pop gals in Ireland, we have a wide and varied bunch. We got Samantha Mumba, the Nolans, Roisin Murphy, Bewitched. That's it. Can you walk us through your own history with kind of Irish pop music and then how you think you fit in to that timeline?
So, there is kind of a black hole of like pop music women in this country in particular, because I feel like the culture in Ireland has always been to justify being a woman on stage, you need to have a guitar in your hand, or you need to be doing it like a man, and it has to be very male energy. Like a really good example is like early Sinead O'Connor. Like, it was very androgynous, and I think that's the only reason that people, not the only reason, obviously she's extremely talented, she's an amazing songwriter, she's an amazing performer, but I feel like she's very typical of what Ireland expects of a woman in music. It's like the androgyny has to be there, you have to be kind of doing it like a man, you kind of have to be real, and there has to be grit, and it has to be dark, and it has to be edgy, otherwise it is not valid, and it's of no like cultural wealth. Whereas when I was a kid, like, the biggest genius to me in my life was Samantha Mumba. Like, I was like in junior infants, and I remember doing a project on like, who is your hero? Like, you know, everyone has to like write a thing and draw a picture of their hero, and everyone else in the class was doing like their mom or like their granny or like their sister, and I was like, Samantha Mumba. It's like, why is Samantha Mumba your hero? Oh, because she can sing and dance and act.
What more do you need in the world?
Like, literally. And I loved her because she was so appealing and she was so beautiful, and she brings joy. Like, that kind of music brings joy, and it takes you out of where you are, which, you know, sometimes you're not having a good time, and you just stick on a bit of Samantha Mumba and it just goes away for like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, that's what pop music is to me. It's just pure escapism. And yeah, so Samantha Mumba was huge for me, but also couldn't go an interview without talking about the Nolan sisters. The Nolan sisters are very important to me. I came across the Nolan sisters properly when I was about 13 years old, because I was obsessed with watching Top of the Pops reruns on BBC4 very late at night, and there's a lot of Nolan sisters television performances, and I really love television music of the late 70s and early 80s. It's like my biggest reference point. Like, it's the thing that I want to reproduce the most in like the modern era. But the Nolan sisters are amazing. They're just so on it. Like, every single era of what they've ever done has been like such a gorgeously put together. Like, the presentation is good, but the music is also really fantastic sometimes. And the production is just very soothing to me, and the singing is great. And I just love looking at women. I just love looking at women. Like, I love looking at four girls that are all dressed to look the same and have fluffy, bouncy hair and are in shiny pants, and there's like glitter in the sky, and there's like super overexposed lights on those 70s cameras. Like, I just love it. I just love it. I love what they do. They're so hardworking. Like, they're just, yeah.
And they're still working.
They're still working. They're all still bloody working, you know. And yeah, I can't say enough about them. Linda, I love you. I love you dearly. Yeah.
We have had like so many successful Irish pop acts, like, so the Nolans, huge.
Yeah.
We've had Westlife and Boyzone, a different kind of thing, but still like
huge,
like,
ginormous,
globally massive.
Yeah.
Do you think there is still a snobbery associated, even though they've all been massively successful in Ireland? It's almost like they're not rated in the same way that other music is.
No. There's such a prejudice against pop music in Ireland. And again, it just comes from this, I don't know what is so Irish about the need for authenticity, you know, authenticity on authenticity on authenticity. It has to be real. It has gravel. If you want to write a song, you got to go out to a cabin in the woods and just feel your feelings and think about your dad and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's nothing is real. Like nothing that any of these, there's a certain type of act that is very successful in Ireland at the moment. This is the and I am not begrudging anyone of anything. I think if your music is appealing to people and it's bringing joy to someone, it's valid. Like that is it, bottom line. It doesn't matter how the music gets made. But it's interesting because I think a lot of authenticity and credit for authenticity is afforded to acts who have the veneer of, I'm a man, I'm wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, I'm singing a song in a raspy voice, and I have a guitar around my shoulders, and
a guitar you found in a skip, and
a guitar I found in a skip, and maybe it has a hole in it, I don't know. And that's what people in Ireland deem to be real music. But at the end of the day, all of those musicians have co-writers as well. They all come from the exact same studio as your Dua Lipas, as your, Ellie Gouldings, as your Blackpinks. Like, you have the same people working on that music as you do Man with Guitar in Ireland music. It's the same people. It's the same studios. It's the exact same techniques. Everything is artifice. Everything is fake. Why can't we just enjoy it and not give so much credit to this false sense of realism? It doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't enjoy looking at a man in a t-shirt and jeans on stage. Like,
because he's not a woman.
No, because he's not a woman, and I love looking at women. I just think they're beautiful. That's what was the question?
I think you've got it. You got that nailed down. So we're going to play a little game.
Okay, fun.
It's called Can You CMAT That a Little Bit, Please?
Oh.
So I'm going to name some pop stars.
Okay.
And if you were on their team for the day, what would you do to better their career?
I can't wait for this game. I'm going to crush it. Let's go.
Okay, let's start easy. Little Mix.
I love Little Mix. They're pretty much pitch perfect as they are in their current moment in time. I can't say a bad word about Little Mix because I have two baby cousins who are Little Mix fanatics, and if they ever heard me say anything bad about Little Mix, I don't think they'd ever speak to me again. But if I was to do one thing, maybe the thing I would do is I would just want to write a really, really good song for them, because I think it's been a while since they've had a very, very, very good song that works in a very good skeletal format. I think everything that they have written for them works. But to have maybe another song like Touch added to this end of their catalogue would be just chef's kiss. Something that just melodically really pops. But in terms of production, in terms of like styling, in terms of I think they're great. I think they're fantastic. Yeah.
What about Niall Horan?
Oh no! I think pretty much I would like a little bit of a variation on what we've seen already. I think, again, I would like a song that works really well in the skeletal format. I think he's got a style of production that he seems to really like. Something where he's saying, okay, what if it's pop music but as done by Miles Kane? I think this is kind of the mentality that these kind of male pop act teams get into, where they're like, we want Miles Kane as if he was doing pop music. Plot twist, Miles Kane is doing pop music, and he's doing it really well, and he's writing really good songs. So it doesn't really matter about, if he loves guitar music and he loves guitars, great. You still need to write a really good song. You still need to just write a really, really good song to sell everything. I think he has some great songs. I mean, Slow Hands is like my favourite song in the last 5 years. It's definitely one of my favourite Irish songs in recent memory. I think it's absolutely amazing. That's like an example of a really, really good formula where they wrote an amazing song, and it wasn't overproduced at all. It just has the exact right amount of stuff going on, the exact amount of rise and fall through the track at the right points. And I think the most recent was Heartbreak Weather. Is that the name of the album?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to it. I thought it was quite good. I think maybe the lead singles could have just been tightened up a little bit structurally.
Also came out as a tricky time.
Yeah, it came out in
March.
Lockdown,
Yeah.
I just think structural elements of the songs could have just been tightened up and worked a bit more, and the production could have worked a bit more with the songs as opposed to against it. That's it.
Okay.
But it's still on a really good path. I really like Noel Horan.
So now here's a bit more of a challenging one.
Okay.
If you could sit on the team of Katy Perry for one day, what would you do?
Oh, we'd overhaul the whole shebang. We'd throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's go. Like, let's start again. Let's just start again from scratch, Katy. Okay. I love Katy Perry. I absolutely adore Katy Perry. I remember being like 12 years old and Hot and Cold came out, and I used to listen to FM 104 because they used to play it once every hour. And I don't know if I didn't have internet or something at the time, I can't remember, but I would listen to FM 104 and wait for the song to come on, and then I would take down the lyrics in shorthand because I really wanted to learn the lyrics to the song. I was obsessed with her. Like, I thought she was amazing. I thought her first album was absolutely amazing. Her second album, pretty the best album ever, maybe.
That's Teenage Dream to the
uneducated. I think anyone watching this will be educated on the music.
Get out if you don't know anything about Katy Perry's second album.
Yeah, honestly, you're in the wrong place. But obviously, as it stands, she is coming to the tail end of her relevancy in the pop world, let's say, in the chart pop world. And I think her team, or maybe her, has misinterpreted that as we're coming to an end of making music. And so we're going to throw all the shit at the wall, and we're going to use every single formula, and we're going to just make a pop record. We're just going to make a fun pop record. It's going to be about our feelings. There's going to be no subtext to anything that we're doing. We're going to use production styles and techniques that were trendy 4 years ago because it worked then. Why wouldn't it work now? I think she doesn't necessarily need to be going for a chart pop moment anymore. I think she's come to a part of her career where her fans are going to follow her along to anything she wants to do, and she doesn't realize that. I think, I also think chart pop in itself isn't necessarily hugely relevant anymore. Like the charts, like the radio charts. I think we've got Spotify, we've got YouTube, we've got all these weird things. We've got all these weird ways of huge pop stars being able to make money off songs that don't chart, but that are, hugely successful within the context of the fan base. So she should really just throw all the babies out with all the bathwaters and start again from scratch and do what she wants to do. Make the kind of music that she loves and the kind of music that she wants to make. I don't know if she knows what that is. I personally think she could backtrack a little bit and go back to making some guitar music. I think she'd make a great, like, Jagged Little Pill-esque pop album. Like, I think she would crush it because that's what she came from. She came from guitar music, being a singer-songwriter in a Christian context. Like, I think she'd kill it. I'd love to hear her do that. I would love to write that for you, with you. I'll do it. I'm here.
So, Ciara Mary Alice Thompson.
Yes.
Big question.
Yes.
What is the future of Irish pop?
It's me, bitch.
Perfect.
I think it's me. I think it's about coming away from the notion of authenticity, having to factor in via aesthetics, both sonically and visually. I think it's just doing what you want to do and understanding that making things to your taste level is enough, and you don't have to try and impress anyone, and you don't have to try and, make other people think that you're a real musician doing real things and this is really who I am. Do what you want to do. Make music that sounds good to you. Make things that look good to you, and fans or whoever is going to come along with you on that. They just want people. I think people just want people to be themselves and really enjoy it. I think people just want people to be really confident now, more than anything. And I think it's me.
Seema, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Inside is my present Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright, man? Don't judge me, I'm already judging myself. Don't push me, cause I'm on the edge of my shell. Never been afraid of sharing all my feelings. Now they're out of my hands, they've lost all meaning. Don't even dare make a sound. Can you stop the screaming? Go, go, go. Top of me to the ground. Cause I can break so easy. Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? So what am I gonna do? Have I paid my dues? So what am I gonna do? I'm stuck in a loop. What am I gonna do? Have I paid my dues? So what am I gonna do? I'm stuck in a loop. Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright? Why'd you give me such a fright? My body's clenching up tight. You know this isn't my night. Why do you give me such a fright?
So Luke,
Hiya.
PureGrand,
Hello.
yeah, here you are. So you, with your gothic 80s voice, and you've got the presentation of a early Christina Aguilera.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, this is it. Could you explain to the uninitiated what the concept of PureGrand is?
Well, it's kind of darted around a lot, but I think that, and me trying to be really specific about it, it's more kind of an influence of sort of 80s, 90s, late 20th century pop. Not just taking what I like from it, essentially, and meld it all together. And then there's kind of themes of sort of more contemporary stuff and lyrics and stuff as well. But then I think there's like also like a really strong visual aspect to it. And I think it's also got this kind of like campness, I suppose, to which you can't escape. Like I can't help the way I am, but that's just how it is. So it's just a bit of like everything. I find that I'm constantly kind of evolving it and being it kind of, you know, some days I'll kind of want to take from this or take from that, but I always kind of put my own spin on it. But it's also quite DIY as well. Like I'm not trained in any instrument or nothing. I'm just like, this will work, that might work, and just see what it does. So yeah, but it's a nice way for me to kind of explore my own kind of. I love pop culture and I love music. I love how pop songs are constructed and made, and that was always a big influence with me. So it's kind of my way of kind of getting to play dress up and do what I want in that regard.
So which little bits which you've plucked from like the 90s and the early 90s? Like what's the most delicious thing to take from those years?
Oh, from the early turn of the millenniums where pop music peaked, in my opinion. You know, we're going Backstreet Boys, we're going even like Steps. You know, that's the sort of stuff. Like
no need to talk down
yeah,
Steps,
like anything with a really big melody. That's what, and I can dance to. That's what like my attention span's like that. So it's just like that's kind of anything I draw on is kind of mainly that. The other 90s stuff, like kind of 90s Janet as well and things like that. And then like Britney, Spice Girls are kind of like my be all and end all. So at the moment we're looking at more of that stuff. In the past it was more like Human League and things like that, like Depeche Mode, more kind of 80s stuff, because my voice just happens to sound like that. So I have to kind of, no matter what I do, it sounds like, it's like, so, but yeah, no, I just draw from whatever, like I'll literally go, I try not to draw from too much contemporary stuff, not because I don't think the contemporary stuff is good, but just more so I feel like I want to make what I want to make and I don't want to be dictated by what the trends are. Like I think it's like if I like something that's trendy, oh yeah, I'll throw it in, grand, but I kind of tend to sort of be like, just nitpick from my favorite stuff, and then like sometimes it don't even suit my voice, but I'm like, I'm doing it anyway. Like we're gonna just make it work, yeah. So yeah, that's mainly it. I think so. I just sort of take what I like and put it together.
So I have a big question for you.
Yes.
Now. How do you think we handle pop music in Ireland?
I think so. I think pop music's in a bit of a state of flux anyway, worldwide. I think pop has, its peaks and troughs. I hate peaks and troughs during COVID, that's all I say. But pop tends to I think the 80s are peak of pop music. Then you've got the turn of the millennium. You've got the start of the 10s, late 2009. That's another really good time for pop music.
It's your Gaga.
And that's
Katy
when I was
Perry.
13, 14. So that's when it's all that's just, I knew everything in the top 40 then. Now I look at the top 10, I'm like, it's like somebody feat someone, algorithm made someone up. But I tend to so I do think it's not the most trendy thing at the moment, which is fine. But there are also the Carly Rae Jepsons and the Charlie XCXs who are selling out venues and doing really well. They're not necessarily in the top 10, but they're really successful. So I don't understand why Irish, in Ireland, we can't have that too. But I think it's lots of reasons for that. I think in Ireland is their big kind of gigging culture with indie bands and stuff, and you go with your mates to Whelan's to see someone. There's not really that with pop music. It's not the same sort of following. So therefore it's harder to kind of build a sort of an underground thing from it. I think a lot of labels don't really know how to work pop music in Ireland. I think Ireland's smaller and we don't have the resources that you have elsewhere, and that's fair enough. But I just think I see so many pop acts get signed, and then it's okay, we're going to bring you to the UK and you're going to go with XYZ producer, and then they come out with something that's very polished, but there's no spark to it, and there's no kind of originality. Everyone's terrified to go outside the box because there's so much money to be spent the other way. And then you get 3 singles and you're gone, and that's that. And it's just I feel we don't have to be as good as the UK, or as good as America or whatever. We can just do our own thing and do it it doesn't have to be as polished, but it can be really good and really original, because I think that's what stands out. I think people are so panicked about it, just gets very homogenized. But I just think as well, the culture in Ireland's still quite backwards. Everywhere else seems to be past the point of pop music being the sort of the way that I think pop music can be treated quite times is quite the way it would be 10 years ago everywhere else. It's pop music is just flippant. It's not a real kind of critique or a discussion, which really bothers me as well. I think that's really behind the times. So I think a lot of the people in a lot of broadcasting and journalism are U2 dads still. So not against U2, but it's still very we're not looking for the next Arctic Monkeys, boring. Come on. It's just, I just feel there's such a market, and there's so many pop fans in Ireland that could really be catered to that just aren't, because they're oh, no one wants that. It's fine. It's grand. That doesn't exist. So that's what bothers me about it, I think. And I think that's where we're really going wrong. It's just kind of taking what makes it special and what's individualistic and working from there.
Yeah, in a way, I think Carly Rae Jepsen and Charlie XCX probably have the most enviable level.
Exactly, yeah. And they literally can do what they want and go where they want, and they don't have to deal with the horrible pressures of fame and all that sort of stuff. It's just real, they've got really solid fan base, guaranteed sold out shows. They can kind of go and make whatever music they want. And there's a really good critical appraisal for it as well. It's perfect. But I'd where's that model? Do you know the way, even in the UK, they've got a lot more focus on smaller acts that have really big followings, And the thing is, we're living in an age where we can just put it anywhere. So it's you're not even just doing it in Ireland, you can bring it wherever you want. So it's frustrating that at home it's very kind of archaic in the way we think about what's good music. Hip hop's the only thing recently that I think has really kind of come out of itself in Ireland and really kind of made its own stamp. The whole people just rapping in an Irish accent, that kind of mentality is what we need with pop music. What can we do ourselves that makes it different from other things?
Yeah, transfer that support.
Yeah, exactly, and that following and that kind of critical appraisal, because we just don't have it. It's just that's nice,
Very lovely song.
Yeah.
In terms of Irish male pop stars, Westlife and Boyzone have kind of flown the flag really successfully here, and they've done well internationally. Yeah. But the pop game is kind of dominated by women, and rightfully so.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah, but do you find it kind of is it difficult for men, especially queer men, to actually break into the pop world?
it's yeah. I think men breaking, just straight men, you've got your Ed Sheerans and your Justin Bieber, I don't really pity them as much, to be honest, because they're fine. I think gay men, it's such a mess. It's just, I think one of the things, going back to my point about live and stuff like that, I think the closest thing the LGBT community have to that sort of following is going to drag shows or cabaret shows and stuff. That's kind of our equivalent to going to your mates to the Whelan's to see another Arctic Monkeys knockoff. And
poor old Arctic Monkeys.
Nothing against Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah,
it's just
they're doing okay.
It's fine. They're not going to care what I think. So we have that, and that's a brilliant, and I love all that, and that's such a really good kind of. I think that could even be amplified more. But I think often I see a lot of, not just gay men, but I see a lot of LGBT spectrum artists feel they have to kind of add elements of drag in order to get that audience to get on stage. So that means sometimes they might have to sing covers or interpolate covers with satirical elements rather than getting out to sing their own stuff. So I'd love to have that energy with like original pop acts as well as all the drag acts and stuff, because like all those cabaret shows are amazing and there's such a really good platform for that, and like they're the only places I've been able to really get proper gigs, and people are really good in those kind of places. They will go, oh, what you do, we don't mind what you do, just here's an audience that are like the kind of people that would like what you're doing, here you go. So I just think it's tricky because there's not as much stuff in that regard. I think with gay men as well, there's also that problem of like gay men love female pop stars, but gay men don't like other gay men. And I think a lot, not all the time, but I think there's always that kind of awful cocktail of sort of fancying someone and envying someone, and therefore it's always this kind of like with it, and it can be difficult. Like people always say about women supporting women, there's also the same kind of vibe with gay men supporting gay men. It can be a bit tumultuous at times, and therefore it's hard to kind of get what are your audience and what do they want, because like not just gay men listen to gay men, obviously women listen to gay men too, but I do think it's harder to sort of find what people like, because with gay men you've got the people who want the real level one stuff, like I'm coming out, I'm found myself, this is my coming out story, and then whereas I like to write music that's more like, oh, what's like an average, like I'm out years, I don't really want to write about those kind of stuff, I'd rather write about like the average kind of gay male experience. So but then some gay men don't want to hear that, or some gay men don't want to be dealing with all the real queer theory stuff either, so it's a weird spectrum as well, I think. So it can be difficult in that regard. So it's I find as a gay man, I'm like, who are my audience and what do I want, because I feel like gay men don't really want another gay man to do music. They'd rather have Charlie XCX, and maybe rightly so, you know.
We all want Charlie XCX.
That's it, you know. We can't be Charlie XCX.
She will ever gig here, like, genuinely. So you released Timeline in July. So it's a song about getting stuck in a timeline of lovers, which is so, after all, stuck in a timeline. But like your video, the whole package, it just comes with like a really clear-cut look. So like what comes first for you? Is it do you have an image and then you work a song around it, or do you kind of marry the two?
Well, I'm always writing. That's written with all the songs always first, because like with me, I'm still learning, like, and I'm still writing, so I'm at it all the time, trying to get better, trying to always do different things. Generally, what I'll do, because I usually either make like bodies of work, or I'll make like if it's an individual single, I kind of go, if I'm even like in a demo stage, or if I'm in the stage where I'm compiling the track list, I'll know kind of what the vibe is, and then I'll go, okay, how can I visualize this? But oftentimes I'll be there, like I remember I did like a song called Flowers around Christmas last year, and I remember like I had a demo done and like a few vocals done, but then I shot the artwork on like a Tuesday, and then I had all the artwork done before the song was even finished. So like with me, it's because I do a lot of it myself, it's a lot back and forth and stuff. But I look, for me, pop music is the whole experience. It's the package between, you know, like, you know, the videos, the artwork, the performance, you know, everything. So I'll do that regardless of whether it is. But I just work both ways. Like my brain's like a two-tier thing. It's like we're doing visuals and music at the same time, and then it'll kind of mangle together that way.
So like you really do, like you have like the eye, like, so you're someone who can like professionally come in and go like, what's visually important. Yeah. So like you'd work a lot with like this guy called Jack Rua.
I don't know who that man is.
I don't know who he is.
Sorry to Jack Rua.
So like, what is it for you that is like, for the full package, like what are the visual key points that you want to see hit when a pop star comes
I
out?
think and I one of the things with Jack, especially, like, because I obviously do my own stuff and Jack stuff. With Jack stuff, I'll always like, with any artist, I always try to make, I think the key thing is to make yourself stand out, and to make yourself, like, because it's a real getting the foot in the door. If you look different to other people, they're like, oh, what's this? You know, not saying the visuals are everything. At the end of the day, it's music. But like with Jack, I'll approach him in a different manner. I approach myself. Like, I think when I work with any artist, it's like, what is about them that we want to bring out? What is it about them that, like, is their kind of, it's not selling point, that's so commercial, but like, you know, because I hate, because then it gets, the problem with the visuals, it gets real marketing-y then, which I hate, because that's not what I like about it. But I love to kind of bring out people's personality in the way I photograph them or video them. So for Jack, I'll like, we've discussed it between ourselves, like, this is what's going to be, that's going to be that, and then I won't shoot him in the way I shoot myself. But no, for me, it's all about the experience. Like, it's about how you can kind of marry different mediums to kind of create this whole thing and world. Like, I'm obsessed with pop culture and like VMA performances, and like when something really captures the zeitgeist. So for me, it's like trying to kind of draw from what I think would be strong for someone. But the other thing as well, I think a lot of the time people think what's good is what's expensive, which isn't true at all. Like, I think I've done things on nothing. The other way, I've been like unemployed, you know, putting string around something, being like, ah, it's fine, it'll work. I think it's important to kind of make it look good, but live within your means a bit, you know, because at the end of the day, as long as it's like well thought out and it looks good, it doesn't have to be the most slickest or expensive thing. As long as it's original and it's authentic to you, then that's going to ring true, I think. Because I'm sick of seeing people like, oh, I spent all this and I did all this and we flew over there, and I'm like, oh, for what? You know, no one cares, you know? So like, and it still looks a bit like, you know, not shading anyone else, but like, I think it's really good when you remain true to yourself and not get caught up in sort of, you know, just because something's expensive, sometimes things that are expensive are worth, yeah.
Well, I kind of find it with a lot of the bigger pop stars when you know that they have like just
and it still looks terrible.
Budget, it's kind of like it becomes too busy then.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. People don't. When you have too much, you have too much selection. You're gonna just go. Meh. It's like the way now when you're producing a song. It's like I often hear like a lot of, because I love a lot like 80s synth pop and new wave. They talk about making songs sound like there's just too much choice, and I don't know where to begin. It's the same kind of idea. When you've got too much choice, sometimes like the creative is much harder because you can't think of the ideas. Yeah.
As an independent artist, is it something, do you kind of get bogged down with the idea of kind of like self-branding and marketing?
Oh, I hate it. I know, I really do. Because it's annoying because a lot of the stuff I do, like I love making I hate the word content, but like we live in a very much more visual age, so that's going to come with the territory. But I just think it's like, you're like picking which picture will make the algorithm do something, that kind of thing. You're like tearing your hair out over. I hate that. And I hate when it's like just the calculatedness of it. Because I think it's important to kind of make your message clear and your visual clear and who you are clear, but it doesn't necessarily mean, when it gets to the point where you're like tearing your hair out over like, which one to put up where, and like, oh, we can't share that yet. Like my friend my friend Eleanor directed the timeline video.
That's Eleanor Rogers.
Eleanor Rogers, very good director. And who's brilliant. And we were like, obviously made that, and then I was putting it out the other week, and she was like, oh, I'll share this and I'll share the videos. And I was like, no, we can't share the video yet. We can't share the pictures yet. It has to be done this way, and she was like, okay. And that's what it's like it's gone into my head that like it has to be done this way because people won't look at it otherwise, because you're literally trying to like promote it in a way that people will watch, because people are thick. They'll be like, I saw it. And like, no, you didn't. You just saw it on your feed going, I didn't actually click it, So God bless. I was there like, I'm sorry. It's just how it's done. So I hate that, because I think when it becomes more about that, then you lose what actually you're doing it for. The way, because and like same with like streaming and Spotify playlists and all that sort of thing. I think it's very it can kind of ruin the fun of it all, I think.
It's kind of like if you don't post at 5 p.m. on a Friday, you won't be
successful.
Yeah.
And like you can't, like a lot of the time single artwork won't have text on it anymore because Instagram sees text and it's like, no, whereas I'm like, no, but like what if I want to make it look like this? And
what about that cheesy font?
Literally, yeah, and it just means like you're really hindering yourself then, because you're trying to fit in with what like, because like these days everything is so homogenized and everything, the world's just like a big globalized mess. So it's just like, I think it's important to keep true to what you want, regardless of what's trendy. The way sometimes things are trendy are good, but sometimes it just do what you want and don't try your best not to be dictated by algorithms and by what's commercially viable. Yeah.
I'm going to have a little quiz here for you.
Rock and roll.
It's called Who Wants to Be a Grandier?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not Ariana Grande.
Nothing to do with Ariana Grande. It's obviously Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. We have no money to give you.
That's all right. It's tough times.
But what I'm going to do is I am going to list out songs for different amounts of money.
Cool.
And you have to tell me whether or not they made it onto the best-selling list of singles in Ireland ever.
Okay, right.
So for €10, which one of these songs made it in the top 20? Eminem's Lose Yourself, Lone Star, Amazed, Shania Twain's That Don't Impress Me Much, or Baby One More Time by Britney Spears?
I'm going to go with Baby One More Time.
Incorrect.
Is it Lone Star?
No.
No. Is it Shania? No, it's not Shania. It's Eminem.
It's Eminem.
No, and I know that because I remember when that was coming out, I was like, I don't get it. And everyone's like, oh, it's deadly. Why don't you get it? And I was like, no, this is literally like Irish people love that.
So if we were doing the real structure of the game, you'd be gone.
No, that is the end. Goodbye.
That is the end. You're over. But okay, we'll try you one more time. For €50.
Yes. No, well, there's no point now. It's like, for nothing. Well.
Which one of these do you think was one of the best-selling songs in Ireland ever? Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers, Picture of You by Boyzone, Bootylicious by Destiny's Child, or Uptown Girl by Westlife?
Uptown Girl?
Correct.
Yeah, Comic Relief. Yeah, I remember that.
That is the 10th best-selling single in Ireland ever.
I remember having that on single, and I was like, I was a child. But yeah, no, big Comic Relief face on the cover.
For €100.
For €100.
Which song made in the best-selling list of singles in Ireland? Is it S Club 7, Don't Stop Movin', Wannabe by the Spice Girls, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, or Maniac 2000 by Mark McCabe?
Oh, Maniac 2000.
The 5th best-selling song of all time in Ireland.
Yeah. Do you know the video for Don't Stop Moving was shot in the Palace?
Seriously?
Yeah, on Camden Street, and someone told me the one now I can't unsee it. Yeah, no, they
beautiful.
did. That's my favourite fact every time that song comes up.
Kylie Minogue filmed loads of her videos in Dublin as well.
Oh yeah, I think she did a lot of stuff with Biff Stannard in like what's it, Windmill Lane. Sorry, I'm being real geeky now. You know this fact.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about S7.
Yeah, but there you are now, shot in the Palace. R.I.P.
For €250. Happy by Pharrell Williams, Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani, Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, or Hero by Enrique Iglesias?
Okay, it's between two of them. Because I remember, I'm going to go with Gnarls Barkley. But it's Pharrell Williams, isn't it?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you've lost all of your money. The answer is Enrique Iglesias, Hero.
Really?
The 7th best-selling
Really?
single.
Oh, well, I can, yeah. No, that reminds me. Yeah, okay, fair enough. No, but Happy, like, is literally, like, one of the best things of all time. And I'm like, oh, freaks, yeah.
Well, because you've lost all of your money.
Well, that's it now.
I'll just tell you what the other best-selling songs are. 6 is Whole Lot of Lovin'.
Oh, we all have that at home.
The 3rd best-selling
Yeah.
single ever. Riverdance, Bill Whelan, 2nd best-selling single ever in Ireland. And the best-selling single in Ireland ever in chart history is Elton John's Candle in the Wind.
Oh,
A glorious state of affairs.
yeah, yeah.
And with that in mind, Luke, what do you think is the future of Irish pop?
Future of Irish pop. Well, hopefully we'll follow rap's footsteps and try and make a bit of a scene for it, which would be really nice. Because there's so much up, not even just Reflect here today, like so many really good bands that are like coming out of the woodwork and really trying to do really original stuff. And also stuff that doesn't sound like other stuff, or really, like it's just really like original. So I think that's going to happen. I think it'll be more kind of a thing. And I think we're getting to a point now where the internet's really able to sort of spread the word and stuff. So I'm hoping that there'll be at least one big pop crossover moment from somebody. That's what I think in the next 10 years. I just want, like, you look at the turn of the millennium.
International, like.
Oh yeah, you look at the turn of the millennium, it was like always in the top 10 in the UK now. Like the only #1 single from an Irish act in the UK in the 2010s was Hall of Fame with Will I Am. Like, isn't that a bit depressing? Nothing against the script, but like, you know, there's just, you know, we have a lot of potential and it's not being visualized. So.
And we don't need more of the script.
No, I want another breakout star. That's what I'd like for the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Luke, PureGrand, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Louise. You're very good.
I wanna remember how it feels to just lay back and pull someone else's body over me. Tonight I've touched you so long, spent some time on my own, but now you've caught my eye and I remember how it feels to have blood running. So let's get more acquainted, let's get fucking dangerous. Don't know if we will work out right, but I gotta get my mind over the last one. Baby, that's where you come in. I know we could have a good time. Looking at you, I'm feeling right. For the first time in a long time. Looking at you, I'm coming alive. Looking at you, I'm feeling the rise. Feeling the rise, feeling the rise, feeling the rise. Oh. My body's cold, it needs your heat, and only you can resurrect me when you climb on top of me. I was hibernating, cause I felt I needed healing. Now I'm wide awake, so come and share your energy. Well, you know I wanna get fully naked, then go crazy, cause I always could react and go on fire. Yeah, I've gotta get my mind over the last one. Baby, that's where you come in. I know we could have a good time. Oh, I'm feeling the rise. For the first time. Looking at you, I'm coming alive. Looking at you, I'm feeling the rise. Feeling the rise, feeling the rise, feeling the rise.
I'm checking, I promise it won't get it. Madness to my method of moves we won't mention. Tell for a message, I'm in RX. No strain, no stress, just sex. Sense weighing so fresh that you can like get it. Feeling the balcony, balancing off the edges. Girl, so intense and ends are undressing. Head so dumb that I never learned.
I wanna be free. Feel the force of floor of two hearts. Even if it only lasts one night. Can you give it to me? That thing I want so desperately. You know you're the one who's making it right. Oh, I'm feeling it right. For the very first time. Looking at you, I'm coming alive. Looking at you, I'm feeling the rise. Feeling the rise, feeling the rise, feeling the rise. I wanna remember how it feels to just lay back upon someone else's body. Someone else's body, yeah. Looking at you, I'm feeling the rise, feeling the rise. rise to the rise.
Jack Rua.
Yes, Rua.
So when it comes to Irish music, Irish pop music, historically pop music hasn't been very warmly received by critics. Was this something that was like massively on your mind when you were making and recording Narcissus?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I considered that. It's always been on my mind. Like I came through as a musician in BIM, and that was a bit of a illuminating experience for the attitude towards pop music in the music scene. So when I took all those songs that I'd wrote and then started recording them, I was a bit like, you know, it was of course on my mind, but that wasn't really going to dissuade me from making the music that I want to make. And honestly, I believe that the album is great, and it's kind of like, it's what pop music is essentially. It's genre bending, and I think pop albums do that a lot more than alternative genres. They kind of, you know, it's like that is a pop centric album, but it goes into rock and it goes into disco, and then next thing it's a bit more EDM and housey. So what I want to do with my music is change the attitude towards pop music in Ireland, or just make people see that how great an art form it can be. So yeah, it scared me a little bit that I might be a bit more rejected than other acts might be, but also, you know, I had to do it.
So you were received pretty well.
Yeah, I know. I was really happy with it.
Good reviews galore. Yeah. But of
Critically
course,
acclaimed?
expected.
Yeah.
Definitely. Literally critically acclaimed.
74 or 78 on Metacritic. I actually did the math.
Oh, amazing. That's great.
I'm such a sap.
Congratulations. 78. People die for that.
Yeah.
So you had the Narcissus Ball, which was like your big spectacle gig that was scheduled for March.
Yeah.
And as we all know, March was the month that everything stopped.
Good times, good memories.
But you're big on spectacle because like with a name like Narcissus Ball, it's obviously a bit of a nod to Gaga and the big pop balls that she...
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know? No,
Yeah.
Mother Monster.
Mm-hmm, no.
So how did you like execute that spectacle when the gigs were gone during lockdown? Like how did you bring the spectacle to lockdown?
Well, I mean, during lockdown, to be honest, most of the time I was just kind of regrouping and writing. I didn't do too many live stream gigs, if that's what you're talking about. But I did one, and kind of like one thing about spectacle, that my understanding of spectacle is not necessarily, like elaborate costumes and light shows, pyrotechnics, all those kind of things. Spectacle can be completely inherent in the performer, and I think I am quite a like a big performer. So I think every performance I does have in that way has a certain element of spectacle. So when I did a gig for Hot Press on their Instagram live show, and I just kind of like we just set up, like, aesthetic is really important to me, so we just set up like a nice little kind of room and then allowed the spectacle to be me and the music is quite loud and boisterous as well. So I think that's kind of the main way I did it, was just be myself, and I'm quite big personality. Yes, quite spectacular. I didn't want to say that word, but now that you said it.
I am spectacular.
Yeah.
Perfect. No need to be modest here.
Oh,
like,
don't worry, I don't intend to be.
You're a pop star, darling.
Yeah.
So from like writing the music to like executing like the final look, can you just give an idea of what it is, like the time, money and effort that it takes for like a independent artist to become an elusive chanteuse like yourself?
I try not to think too much about like the money, because it makes me anxious, but like rest assured it does cost a lot to kind of like cultivate a big sound and then follow it up with the visuals. So I mean, like Narcissus was like a 4-year period, like between writing, recording, all those things, and so it's quite time consuming. And then Luke and I work together on creating the visuals. That adds more. And also it's not like all of those things, like coming up with the idea of how Narcissus should be projected or presented is completely inherent. There's a lot of like storyboarding and coming up with looks and then trying to progress the looks. So it's incredibly time consuming, but also it's really satisfying when you put out the full body of work and when you put out a single and it's completely how you want it to look. So it's time consuming and it costs a lot of money, and I wish it didn't, but it's also great when it's a success.
When it comes to support kind of in the media and then with the kind of the Irish music scene in general, are there any things that you'd like to see change so that like pop gets a proper look in?
Yeah. Well, I think what I was saying before is that like the main issue that I see in the Irish music scene is an attitude issue with pop music. And that's something that I've experienced from when I started music till now, is this kind of like thing. It's like pop is almost like a dirty word. And the poppier you are, the kind of like not worse you are, but the less you're not as kind of like cool. I remember when I was in college, we used to kind of like do chart analysis. Like we just analyze the charts and get songs and look at them and see like where they good or whatever. And I can't remember specifically what songs they were. One was a more kind of like indie song on the charts, and everyone was like, yeah, that's a great song, such a good song. And then the next one, I think it was Call Me Maybe. Yeah. And everyone was like, yeah, very good pop song. And I was like,
oh, it was good for a pop song?
Yeah, it's just it's a good pop song, and then the others are good songs.
So how dare anyone say that like Queen Carly Rae Jepsen?
Yeah, and it's a good song. And if something can be a good pop song, then it's a good song. So that's kind of the attitude that I'm talking about. And I think that still exists to, now I don't want to name names, but one of the biggest or some of the biggest like radio shows have guitars that are there to promote Irish pop, there to promote Irish music, have guitars in their logo and like amps. Yeah. It's this kind of thing where it's like, if you are rootsy, that makes you more authentic. If you're playing live instruments, that makes you more real. But this is real, and kind of like all the music we're seeing tonight or today or whatever time it is that this is being aired.
Today, yeah, it's happening right now.
Yeah, it's happening right now. All the music here is completely real as well, and there's no separation. That's the main thing I want to see change.
Yeah, just be giving it like the fair credit for all the work that actually goes into it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing. It's still music. If it's good pop music, it's good music.
Cat to all the cameras.
Yeah.
So with your songs, like with Curious and like Rise, there is such huge queer representation kind of in these songs. Was that something that you felt was missing when you were growing up as a kid? And do you think that we've got better? Like, who would you look to today who's actually like putting kind of queer stories kind of front and center?
Sure, yeah. I think like I was, I guess, growing up as a teenager at like kind of in like 2006 onwards. And I do remember like that. I think everyone can attest that like the early noughties were quite like heteronormative, and it was quite like especially in the charts, there wasn't a whole lot of representation. And as a queer person, I was quite, I had no one to really look up to. And then I guess like when Lady Gaga came out, then there was almost this kind of shift in the aesthetic of pop. And all of a sudden there became, and obviously, that's not to say that there wasn't queer icons going back, but it was more just in the charts and in the zeitgeist and in the culture when I was growing up. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there wasn't that many, but then when I got a bit older, then all of a sudden there was Lady Gaga, and then she kind of opened the doors for all, not necessarily queer LGBT gay people, but like all of a sudden there were all these like musicians, pop musicians, queer musicians, and that was great. I think today there's so much variety. I wish it was a bit more in the charts, but like it's great to see like Sophie doing so well and working with Madonna and doing all the things that she does. There's Troye Sivan these are just the kind of like the really popular ones. I'm ranting a bit and I forgot the question, but I think it was something about that.
Yeah, who do you look to? Like who?
Well, who do I look to? I mean, I love Dorian Electra quite a lot. I think their aesthetic is really cool. Their music is really cool. It's really funny and also really great music. Who else? I love John Grant as well. He's one of my icons. I do think there's quite a lot going around, especially in the sort of like subculture of pop music and in the subculture of queer music, not necessarily on the charts, but like there's so much, once you get into it, then there's all of this great queer content.
Yeah, it's better to be in the subs than in the charts. I think.
Exactly. I think I heard you say that with Luke, that like it's almost better to be an act like Charlie XCX or Carly Rae Jepsen, who are a bit more subculture-y.
Yeah, because I think a lot of our big pop stars, they kind of suffer from celebrity.
Yeah, and also from being, they get made into the way culture is and the way the music industry is now. It becomes a little bit not disposable, but like, you know, people's attention span is. I think I was reading the other day that people's attention span is now about 7 seconds long, 8 seconds long.
Damn.
And so, but that is completely mirrored in the way the music industry operates now. It's kind of this like conveyor belt of artists, you know. So, yeah.
When it comes to like sex in music, in Irish music, I think that it's quite a rarity for like artists to actually for Irish artists to address sex and their sex lives in their songs. But like that's a lot of Narcissists is about just enjoying sex, enjoying yourself, learning about your partner and that. Do you think that maybe Irish people are too prudish for pop when pop is maybe the sexiest of genres?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, that's it. I was kind of like semi-practicing for these questions, and I was looking at my phone, I was laughing. The only answer I had for that question was yes. And yes, I do think Irish people can be too prudish around sex. I mean, it's not just on a musical level, it's also on a personal level. There's, sometimes I'd be having conversations with someone about sex or like anything to do with sex, be it masturbation, be it any. Sorry if this is too vulgar.
Go all out. Yeah.
Okay,
We are living in the age of WAP, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, it's in the zeitgeist. But you know, you'd be having conversations with someone and you'd mention something about sex, like, you know, I was having sex a few weeks ago, whatever it is, and then it's like this sort of like, it still exists. Like I would have thought that, like I lived in the States and it's entirely different. Especially in like somewhere like New York, it's just that you talk about things and it's like you don't really pay too much attention to it. So I think that definitely exists in the music industry as well. People were like, I don't mean to sound like I think I'm Madonna or something like that, but you know, people were a bit shocked when I came out with my first day. I remember sending it off to a few people that I'd contacted before when I was making music under a different guise. And it was my song Scarlet A, which is quite sexually charged. And people were like, oh, I'm not too sure how I feel about this. It's very very different and bold, like this whole sex switch. And I'm like...
This whole sex thing.
And I was like, well, it was always in the bloody music. Just you just weren't looking hard enough for it. But, you know, it's still shocking to be sexual in Ireland. But it's not really that sexual. I don't mean to sound like... You know, like it's natural. Why is it such a big deal to talk about in music as well?
We're just emotionally stunted here, I think.
Seems that way.
So I've got a quick little quick fire game for you called Narcissist, Deluded, or On the Money, where I'm going to name some pop stars and you have to tell me if they're a narcissist, if they're deluded, or if they're on the money.
Okay.
Ariana Grande.
Oh, that's kind of tough. She doesn't present herself as a narcissist. In fact, do you know what? I actually don't. No, I don't. I think she's on the money.
On the money.
Yeah.
She's the real deal. Meghan Trainor. Go on.
Meghan Trainor.
Do you think of Meghan Trainor ever?
I don't think of her. Yeah, just Meghan Trainor. Yeah, I mean, she's probably on the money. I don't really know. She's not really narcissistic.
Or is she deluded?
Well, that song "Me Too" is quite narcissistic. Or deluded. No, do you know what? Like she's cool. I'll say on the money.
What about Justin Bieber?
Narcissist, and I don't. Sorry, actually, this is me. But and he doesn't. Some acts are narcissistic and they get away with it. I don't think he does.
No,
I think it's a bit embarrassing.
Lady Gaga.
She's a narcissist and she gets away with it. Like
she's the good side.
She's like so unbelievably narcissistic and like she thinks she's a god, but like she kind of is, so it's fine. But sometimes she doesn't get away with it, but it's still fine because she's Lady Gaga.
Dua Lipa?
She's quite cool. I think she's a narcissist, but in the same way that like
Gaga.
Yeah, she's cool. She can be.
What about Jessie Ware?
I don't get narcissist vibe. I think she's quite on the money.
Yeah. And then finally, Lil Nas X.
I don't know. He's kind of, his aesthetic isn't really like pop starry, is it?
I think he's getting there.
I guess so. I wouldn't call him deluded. He's pretty cool. Yeah, I think he's on the money as well.
Fab. And finally, last question. Jack Rua, what is the future of Irish pop?
Me. What is the future of Irish pop? I think Irish pop has a good future as soon as we open the doors to it and allow it to kind of allow different voices to have the volume that they need. You know, there's so much good music, be it pop, rock. There's so much good music coming out of Ireland, but it seems to be this kind of like attitudes that certain genres need more attention than others. So once Irish pop gets the same look in that the other genres do, then I think it has a really good future because there's a load of really cool acts coming through.
Fab. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take it off, turn it on, and then play my favorite song. Take it off, turn it on, and then play my favorite song.
You got away with you, and I can see it. You got this thing you do, and I can feel it. They all will look at you, and you believe it. You got this thing you do, and I can see it. You got away with you. You got this thing you do. You got this thing you do.
Okay, Sarah Byrne.
Yes.
Gold-blooded woman.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Good. Positive.
How's your hand? Not a shake?
No shake.
Okay, we're going to get to know Sarah Byrne, aka Gold-blooded woman, a little bit better in a game that we have called Take It Off, Pull It Out. After your single, Take It Off.
Incredible. I'm very
Yeah, there you
excited.
go. So, Sarah, some people may recognize you from a former life as Fawn. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Take it off.
Can I tell you about it as I pull it off, or do I have
Absolutely.
to? Okay, so I got started in this. Oh gosh, she's pretty good about it. I got started in this electronic world with Fawn, with
On top, please.
Will St. I feel like I forgot how to play the game because I'm speaking with Will St. Ledger.
Mhm.
So we met at a festival, Ledger Picnic, and well, he started playing music for me, and then decided that I was like, oh, I'm a singer as well, and that's how most bands come together in Dublin, I think, is being out and about. And then we started making music together, and thanks to Mother, we got our first kind of platform. Very risky move.
Listen, I like a risk.
Yeah, and that's how we started Fawn, and basically pretty much because Will was working for Mother as well at the same time and running that, so
Yeah.
that was our beginnings.
So nightlife really is a big weave in the wig
Massive
of your
weave in the wig, yeah.
music career. So people also may recognize you as being one of the team members behind War, which
Yes.
was a big Friday night
Mhm.
nightclub. What was Dublin nightlife back then, and when? Just give us like a time frame as well.
So we started War in 2009, and 2009 was kind of like the birth of the hipster as well in terms of like that idea of that phrase and what
So
it
Urban
means.
Outfitters had arrived.
Urban
in
Outfitters had
Ireland.
arrived over the Palestinian scarves, and so War was a time when the kind of you didn't have to. Oh, I know I'm trying to fuck this up. What happens if this collapses before we even get to like next question? Can I do that?
No, it's great. You're doing great.
So War was kind of part of this kind of trend where you basically picked a theme, you picked a music genre, and you put on a night, Monday to Friday, and if you were lucky, your night was the night, and it was quite like a raw. Oh, fuck.
Okay, we're going to cheat
We're
just
gonna
for
cheat, just like
the purpose of
that we get through
the
this.
interview. Ah! Okay, we'll keep going. Tell us about Dublin nightlife.
Now we got this out of the way, I can answer the questions. Okay, so Dublin Nightlife was a time when I think it was more kind of acceptable to kind of be a bit more experimental. I think people a bit more, I'm not sure about you, but it's quite like a rough time in terms of dressing and things. People kind of just got massive pieces of jewelry and put on like weird things. It was a bit more of expression, I think, in the more mainstream than it would have been before. I think anything more artsy or kind of like LGBT or anything was kind of like more underground a little bit at that point in Ireland. So it was kind of the birth of students being able to go out and be a bit mad. And then it wasn't really about certain DJs, it was about genres. So it was like your hip hop night in a very Irish way of doing hip hop, Irish white person way in 2009, or your indie nights and then your pop night. So what we were was the pop night on a Friday. And that was kind of how we kicked off and just were kind of lucky to kind of ride that wave.
So, like, before all of this happened, when I say this, I mean the big C. What do you think were the big problems that, like, Dublin nightlife was actually facing? Because it was kind of a little bit on its knees, but kind of in 2019 anyway.
I mean, look, obviously a massive problem with Dublin is venues and property, right? So we have a massive property crisis, and that's also affects then venues. So, when we were starting off, like, I think about, there's venues that existed, you had much more kind of venues where you could try things out and be more experimental. Like even things like the Clarendon Basement or, the Back Pacino's, like we did it, like there was more options to kind of try out spaces. I think now with prices and rates and everything, that is really a huge problem and that affects then the nightlife because you end up going to like very kind of, all the bars have to make a certain amount of money. There's less chance to kind of try things out. Like we did War was really successful. We did it for like 6 years. But we also tried it. I did like a bunch of other nights as well. And you could actually go and try out different moods and different venues. I just don't think that is an option there. Like even if you were to take somewhere, like if you're going to put out a night now, where'd you do it? Wigwam, Tengu.
Yeah,
There's not. Everything else is kind of bigger, more like corporate spaces, I think.
There's kind of less room to take risks.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're a big risk taker.
With having done a big risk assessment beforehand, yes, I am.
So, speaking of risks, gold-blooded woman, is there an underlying health condition that gives you gold blood?
I mean, I'd love actually to be able to like cry gold. That would have been a real like dream, but unfortunately, no. The gold-blooded is just more an obsession with that particular metal and how well it goes with my ginger hair.
So, how long was gold-blooded woman in the makings for? Because you're working with Will as Fawn, and then you were kind of like doing the DJing as well with the nightclubs.
Yeah.
So, like, at what point were you kind of like, I want to be my own pop star?
I mean, I suppose it's that interesting thing about how you not being what you are preaching, I guess, in terms of kind of like that. I think there's an idea that production is a real kind of a man's job. But also because I didn't know how to make music. I would be what you call an intuitive music maker, which means I have no technical skill, but I would just be able to put music together. So I'd be writing with people, like even like with cabaret stuff, or Will would be writing the music, but I might be saying like how it might sound and stuff. It was quite, you're still unable really to convey what you want to do. And so I just didn't really ever think about, I just kind of knew that I didn't play an instrument very well enough to be able to compose. And then I just kind of thought, do you know what? And Will was moving more back into doing his art as well. So, you know, you're kind of reliant on someone else to do all the work. So one of the best things I did was I did an Ableton course. I also did advanced Ableton, but I was pretty fucking shit, to be honest. Once I got past the composing part, I was like, I don't want to mix anything. But that was, I wouldn't be able to do it without having been able to basically make the music myself. So doing Ableton, suddenly I was able to actually compose something. And then also met my producer, Vass, who was actually our instructor on Ableton, who's unbelievable. So like in terms of the mixing and making something like improve the overall sound, that was a really, like doing the course meant that suddenly I had this outlet and a way to arrange and compose, and then also someone who could then tweak it to make it like worthy of like actually putting it to your ears.
Okay, so your music is definitely a club-oriented, kind of festival-oriented creation.
It's actually meditation music, please. Okay.
But like in the last few months have also proved that it's perfect for like a kitchen party.
Well, yeah, it'll have to be.
It's all we have. It's all we have. So last year you made your debut with Blood is Blood, and then this summer hit was Take It Off. So what is the vibe when you're like making your tunes? Like what is it that you want to see when people are listening to you?
I think like look, I've grown up. I've matured in terms of ran a club night, DJ. You know, ultimately you kind of, and also the music that I would like sing and stuff, like it's a bit of like this big major sense of humor in everything that I do. Like I definitely don't take myself seriously, which probably in a kind of almost in like a self-defense way. You don't want to feel that you're being too serious, because at least if it's a little bit of a joke, people think it's shit. You're like, well, I wasn't even being serious. But so I think that's just my natural go-to is that kind of payoff. Like dance music has just, I just like pop on it, even with kind of the melodies that I would write with Will and things. It just kind of lends itself well to that kind of dance pop. It's what I listen to. It's what I enjoy. And with Ableton and stuff, that just happens to be the best way to make music. You know, I don't play guitar. Like I think if I was a pianist or a guitarist, there's definitely scope in there to write more kind of different music, maybe more like folky stuff. But Ableton kind of lends itself to that world. And I mean, I did promise Vass that the next track would be like more ambient. It isn't, so I said the next one will be. So the first three are going to be bangers, and then maybe the fourth song will be a little bit more like reflective.
That's like the classic like pop release thing. It's like banger, banger, ballad.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that, and then I was like, but it's still a banger, I'm afraid. So it's like a slow build of a ballad, of a banger.
So there's one thing that I have noticed from your two music videos. So last year's Blood is Blood is you being in love with a mannequin.
Yeah.
This year's Take It Off, it's you putting your hand up yourself as a puppet.
Classic.
So you've been social distancing before it was cool.
Yeah, what did I know? That's what you're saying. Is there any like secret emails between me and the Chinese government?
Yeah, what's your take on 5G? So why do you hate humans? Why? What's the story? What's the story, Sarah?
I think it's we did a couple of music videos with Fawn, and I think there's something about watching yourself perform as well, particularly when you're like me, like kind of making jokes. So suddenly you have to be like serious, and looking
Just
at a
do that.
camera. Yeah, you're watching yourself back, just like, I hate this. So the first video we did, I just was like, I don't want to like cringe watching myself back. And I also like the idea of there being a bit of an, again with the songs, like a little bit of an edge. So that kind of came from the kind of, at first I wanted to be me murdering people, a la like Jake Gyllenhaal in the Shoes video when he goes around as a serial killer. That was the original one for Blood is Blood. And then
I
we
can see
changed
that
it.
for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? And then just kind of, you know, being able to kind of act and tell a story, but that wasn't performing to a camera. So that's where that one came from. And then the Muppet idea, again, came from a few different things, trying stuff out, getting people to send me in videos and that kind of stuff. But also, that thing is, how can you be in a video without being in a video?
So Take It Off is a proper lockdown video.
Proper lockdown video, yeah.
When was it recorded?
During lockdown. We recorded in, I think it was April we did it.
Yeah, walk us through. What was were you going as insane as the video indicates?
Well, see, the Muppet had actually was long in the pipeline before, so I ordered that Muppet like before lockdown.
So this Muppet is
It
her.
is me. I actually
is.
should have meant to have brought
You
it
should have
here,
brought
but-
her.
I know, right?
What's your name?
Just call her Muppet Me.
Okay.
But so the Muppet video, I wanted to do a Sesame Street video. I actually wanted to get Bosco involved, and I actually contacted the real Bosco, but then turns out I wanted Bosco to be like going to Rager with Bosco was my dream, but Bosco's only 5, so you can't get Bosco to do shots.
And he has to be in bed early as well.
Yeah, so that's not the greatest like party companion. So that was the original idea, was like, how do you do something and get fun? So I got this Muppet of myself, rather than me being in it, there's me, but I'm not, and I watch myself, and then also do this like Sesame Street play up where we have like a Sesame Street like presenter with Muppet Me, but then Muppet Me starts singing this song like Getting the Ride, essentially. That was the original plan, and then the world ended. But actually it worked out perfectly, because then we was able to kind of tweak it, and my videographer Paul, he lives just down the road from us in Kilkenny, which is quite handy. So we
within
just
the
came up
2K. Yeah.
exactly. So we're able to do it that way.
So when gigs, if gigs come back,
What is gigs?
what is gig? Spelled G-I-G? Oh, what would be your vision for, like, will there be a lot of razzle dazzle when it comes to seeing a Gold Blood Woman show live?
See, it's funny because this is something I've been like thinking about, and I actually just started talking to my producer Ross about it as well. In that, you know, when you play an instrument, it's very easy for you to play the instrument and do it online, as opposed to if you were making your music on Ableton. I would love to be, in a way, I'd love to be like a dahi person, you know, who is like really good at being able to like do a fully live set from like his electronic stuff.
Yeah.
However,
Unplug, plug, everything
yeah,
at once.
ultimately, I'm like,
That's
well,
all he does.
yeah, dahi. We know your secrets.
We're on to you.
But you know, ultimately, I was like, you know, thinking, okay, if with Ableton, you kind of need to, you have to learn. I make the music, but it's not, you know, it's not the same as being able to like actually trigger something on set, on a stage. But ultimately, when it comes down, I'm a singer, and I kind of realized that I've come to terms that I don't want to actually be distracted trying to trigger off my bass or do that. I actually just want to sing when I'm doing it, and I should be comfortable with the fact that I actually have written the music. I don't need to necessarily be proving to someone that because I'm the one creating it. I have made the music, but I want to just sing. So that's the next step. I've got all the time in the world now, because it'll be a long time before we get proper live gigs. So that's the plan, is to try and put together an actual live show and see that. But you know, someone who's really good would be Beam Me Up, Midnight Disco, Midnight, you know, the Midnight Magic. There we go. Who I got filled a set for them actually with Fawn, and someone thought we were them. But Midnight Magic, I remember watching her live, and it was the first time I kind of seen an act that actually had a bit of crack with like it was a little bit of comedy, like not take them so seriously. So I think definitely something like that is, how do you do a gig and not have to just be cool on stage all the time? Do you know what I mean? Like being able to be a bit more relaxed and have a bit of fun, as opposed to trying to just be this kind of persona, I
Did
guess.
you see when Grimes played the Olympia? Were you at that gig by any chance?
No.
Did you hear about this?
Uh-uh.
It was a few years ago. It was around 2016. So she had all the setup on stage, and she electrocuted herself.
Oh, yes.
And the gig ended within 40 minutes. So that's a person who took themselves maybe a little bit too seriously, but then also not seriously enough, because they almost.
I can relate to that, because I electrocuted myself on a glitter cannon at war, and the whole club lights went out.
God.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well,
what a
thank
way
you.
to go.
What a way to go.
If that was your- if that was your last
Explosion of
day.
glitter.
So Sarah Byrne, big question, final question. Sarah Byrne, Gold-Blooded Woman. What is the future of Irish pop?
Oh, what is the future of Irish pop? I think the future Irish pop, I can tell you what pop is at the moment, right? I think about this a lot, that pop music is, because of the nature of it, being popular. I know what that means.
And you're very well liked.
Yeah. Well, because of the nature of popular music, it's very polished. Like pop stars are kind of finished by the time you see them. I feel that in other genres, it's easier to try things out. You can be a punk band, you could be an indie band, whatever, and you can kind of have a bit more rough around the edges. I think pop, by its nature, when it's successful, is very polished. But I think now, I mean, you look at who you have on the panel, I think self-produced pop has to be really the future. I think someone like Christine the Queen's a perfect example of pop stars. People want their pop stars to be actually kind of making their music and kind of being involved in that. And I think ultimately that's probably creating kind of a space for pop to be a bit less polished. Has to be kind of the way forward, so that people like myself and the guys on the panel who are like making it in their bedrooms, as opposed to 20 years ago when people were kind of put out in little factories.
Shipped out.
Exactly. Yeah. Or K-pop at the moment. I think that's what I think hopefully will be the future of pop, at least in Ireland anyway.
Sarah Byrne, thank you. You proved that you're very bad at pulling it out.
Awful.
But you're really good at taking it off.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Gotta Tell You as part of the MusicTown Festival. This will not be the last you hear of these acts, but make sure to keep supporting pop music and fly that flag proudly.